Hey, what's going on, guys? DLegend here. Today we actually have a very different video, and I'm really excited to showcase this series to you guys. This will be the very first video in a series of my favorite medals in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross throughout the history of Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. And there might be things that change throughout time, but I don't think they're going to put more Tier 1 medals into the game, so we're going to kind of go through all my favorite medals from Tier 1 to Tier 10. Not all in this video, so we're going to do, for this video, we're going to do Tier 1 and then Tier 2 as well, because there aren't a lot of Tier 1 medals in the game. That was literally the very start of the game, and they quickly moved on to Tier 2 and Tier 3, so we'll talk about all my favorite medals. Hopefully you guys are enjoying this video so far, but hopefully you guys enjoy the series, and yeah, please look forward to the rest of this series that will kind of gradually come out whenever there is like a gap in content in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross, or whenever I just have time to make one of these videos. So we're going to start off with Tier 1, and a lot of you guys don't know how to check old medals, but if you have them, they will obviously just be in your actual inventory. But if you don't have them here, you can actually go ahead and pop into Album, and you can check them here. So as for Tier 1 medals, there's literally not a lot, so we can kind of scroll through the first little bit here. All of these rows are completed because they are just medals that you can farm from story quests, and we can go all the way up to Jiminy Cricket, which is also a Tier 1 medal. So there's 90 times, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of each attribute as Tier 1 medals, and then we do have like some in the future here. If we move on to like some event medals, I believe we had some Tier 1 event medals, but if not, we can kind of keep going, and these guys were not Tier 1, they were Tier 2 already, so. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about my favorite Tier 1 medals. There's not a lot, so I'm going to stick with top 3 Tier 1 medals for this one. How the series will work, guys, is, I guess I'll just explain it on the way, but basically how the series will work is me talking about my favorite 3 or 5 medals from each tier. Tier 1, there's not a lot of options, so I'm just going to stick with top 3 for this one, and then for the ones in the future, I'll probably go up to 5 per tier, and my favorite can be based off of my, like, the most nostalgic medal, or if the medal is actually if it was a really good medal back in the day, utility-wise, or just how powerful it was or game-changing it was. It could also just be based off the artwork and how much I like that. Yeah, it could be for a variety of reasons, guys, so stay tuned for the rest of this, but let's go ahead and talk about my favorites, the first of this series, which is my favorite Tier 1 medals. Kind of a longer intro, but hopefully that explains this series to you guys. So first and foremost, guys, I'd say my favorite Tier 1 medal, in no particular order, top 3 Tier 1 medals have to be Pain, because this medal hit pretty darn hard back in the day as a Tier 1 medal. Obviously that multiplier is very, very laughable nowadays, but even if you look back at like a 4 or 5 star version of this medal, you can see the multiplier was pretty solid compared to medals like Goofy or Pence, or even Young Hercules, because Young Hercules was a medal that dealt damage the more turns passed. So honestly, Pain was one of my favorite medals back in the day. I don't know why. I think I just had a copy of him, and he was pretty killer for me. So I started with a power setup early on, and I'd say Waka was probably my second or one of my top 3 favorite medals back in the day that were Tier 1 medals, because Waka was just so easily accessible, and I think I filled up my special attack bonus for him and guilted him really early on compared to the other medals. I think Waka and Pain were the 2 medals that I evolved into 6-star as early as possible, just because I just had a lot of copies of them. And honestly, guys, back in the day, it was really, really hard to evolve medals to 6-star, let alone guilt them. So we are blessed nowadays that we don't have to worry about any of that stuff. But that's just kind of how the game started. And then lastly, I'm not going to scroll all the way down to the Dalmatians page, but my last favorite Tier 1 medal is probably the 101 Dalmatians medal. This medal filled gauges and was super, super useful back then, but there was another little twist. So if you collected every single, let me scroll down to it. Oh. Alright, here we are. So if you scroll down all the way to the bottom of this, you actually get to see all the 101 Dalmatians. And back then, if you collected all of these, you got to evolve them into these here. And then after that, you evolved them into these, which were the 3-star or 4-star, 5-star version. 5-star? Yeah, 5-star version. And then you evolved them eventually. You also needed Perdita, and then you needed 101 Dalmatians as a 6-star medal. So you made this medal based off how many copies of these you could collect, and it was a gong show back in the day because it was through Union Cross, and you literally had to run Union Cross so many times to be able to do this, and there was a really short period of time where you could actually do this. So it was really, really tough for a lot of players to do, and I'm pretty proud of the fact that I actually completed this back in the day, because this gave you 101 Nova towards your just regular Nova up here. And that was a really big deal back in the day, because Nova was a source of damage, and it's just a really useful tool for enemies that have counters, whether it's a hit counter or a special, or just a special attack counter. It really did matter. So really cool to see that last medal as one of my top 3 tier 1 medals. We're gonna move on to tier 2 medals now. Just give me a second and I will get right to it. Alright guys, moving on to tier 2 medals. If you guys have played the game for a while, and if you know the history of the game, you know that we actually had a lot of event medals back in the day. And event medals like Snow White were medals that actually helped pass a lot of content. So back in the day, Snow White was the only real medal that cured your own status ailments and also healed HP at the same time. So this medal was pretty solid for a very long time, and I remember using her in a lot of setups and a lot of quests. When enemies poisoned you or paralyzed you, or put you to sleep, it was really useful to have Snow White as a medal that recovered HP and also got rid of those status ailments. So really cool to see Snow White as one of these top 3 tier 2 medals for myself. I really do miss event medals like this. Next up, it's kind of a toss-up between Riku and not this cloud. Where's the cloud that I'm talking about? Between Riku and... where's Cloud? I swear he's here somewhere. Not that Cloud. The other Cloud. Where is he? There you go. Okay, so, and Kingdom Hearts Cloud. So I'd say Kingdom Hearts Cloud edges Riku just because it's a slightly better medal. But this medal was the first medal in the game that I got that was a tier 2 medal. I remember back in the day the banners were absolutely garbage, just like the Kingdom Hearts Dark Road banners are right now. You get absolute trash, but they were really good medals back in the day for a very short period of time before tier 3 and tier 4 medals came out. But Kingdom Hearts Cloud was a medal that was pretty solid back in the day. That multiplier was pretty good. You just needed higher HP to deal that max damage from that multiplier. And Kingdom Hearts Cloud was one of the medals that made me fall in love with this game just because of how fun it was to play with medals like this in Kingdom Hearts Union Cross. So really, really cool to see Cloud in this top 3 conversation of favorite medals in the tier 2 slot. And then lastly for this video, one of my favorite top 3 favorite tier 2 medals in the game was VVA. So VVA was in medal that was the original buffer. It was like one of the 3 original buffers that actually raised your strength by 1 tier for 1 turn. So by strength, they mean general strength. And that was the extent of our buffing back in the day, guys. We had Vivi, we had Aerith, and we had Diz as our 3 main buffers that were easily accessible for every player. And these medals were really, really useful because if you didn't have the strength buff, you were basically toast. You would do no damage whatsoever. And really important to see these medals kind of progress throughout time, obviously, because, buffers progress throughout time because general strength by 1 tier is literally ancient history at this point in time. Imagine using this medal by itself nowadays without any of the other medals that buffed yourself up or debuff enemies. Like general strength by 1 tier for 1 turn was game changing back in the day when the buff cap was 3. So really cool to see this medal as one of the top 3 medals in the tier 2 category. yeah, let me know your guys' favorite medals in the comments below. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. I want to hear your top 3 favorite tier 1 medals and top 3 tier 2 medals in the comments below. And then we're going to move on to tier 3 and tier 4 in the next video. Maybe we'll separate those because tier 3 is a really big category, and same with tier 4. So we'll probably separate those, but hopefully you guys enjoyed the series so far. Let me know in the comments below if you do, and give me some tips on how to improve these videos for this series, or just any other ideas for videos that you want to see in the future. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I will catch you all soon. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for more Kingdom Hearts Union Cross and Dark Road content, and a little historic, nostalgic look back at old medals and my favorite medals. Catch y'all soon, guys. Peace out.